Most of these women, just like their counterparts who are male, they were abducted when they were young. They went to the bush before they attained any level of education. And they wasted a lot of periods in the bush. They came back home. They can no longer go to school because their age is beyond the level where they're supposed to enter in. And it becomes difficult for them to get into the formal education system again. So they have that problem, literacy problem. Skills, there is a huge skill gap between those who went to the bush, those who were abducted, and those who did not go to the bush. So that in itself also has conflict, and meaning therefore that there is a huge gap between those who went to the bush, whether they are female or male, and those who did not go to the bush. That needs to be filled up. And the best way to maybe go into this is by now going into vocational skills education, where they can do at any level of age, Yeah, and then the other big problem, of course, female or women in African society are the bread earners. And now, especially with these returnees who are female, who did not attain any level of education, meaning they cannot get any employment. The only way they can get employed is by getting into agricultural production. What we are training them in is our training is tailored kind of training, where we offer, for example, entrepreneurship skills to the women to make them move away from production and go into marketing. They can produce, and they should be able to know what to produce, when to produce, who to sell to, at what price, so that they can have some good kind of income to sustain themselves. And then we are also into agricultural skills training. We are into agricultural skills training, which tend to give these people capacity to cultivate well, to know to go into agronomical, kind of skills, so that they know how to manage different crops to produce them well, to capture the market. Because when you produce, it is not just about producing, large quantity, but most importantly so is producing quality production. We are trying to offer durable solution. And for us to offer durable solution, we shall not necessarily need to be there, but we need to capacity build the community to be there to run it themselves. So how do they decide here is, they scan their environment. Within their environment, they know what does well in terms of crops and in terms of any other project, something that can bring them money. Basically, they base on what they have been traditionally using to get money, and they use that to see if we go, for example, in bricks, do we have the market? Where do we lay this brick? So where we come in there as GRG is to tell them, well, if you're going into bricks, make sure you have the market. 2, make sure you put these bricks where it is accessible. Road accessibility is a big problem in our village. So we guide them to ensure that they are laying these bricks where vehicle can easily access the bricks if they want to buy. Where the buyers can easily see that, hey, there's bricks there, I need bricks. That is where we come in. And then, for example, banana. That is where we guide them in. They want bananas. Yes, we see whether this crop which they are trying to call for has market. So whatever they decide on, for us as GRG, we try to connect it to the external world. How is it in terms of market to the external world? Does it have market in Gulu? Does it have market in Southern Sudan? What about within the community itself? Does it also have market? So that is how we guide them to take what they want to take. But basically, it is 100% for them to decide on what they want to do. It's not upon GRG to decide on that. GRG's responsibility is to see whether what they are deciding upon has market. If it doesn't have market, then we say, think again. Maybe this will take you wrong direction. Because our motive here is to ensure that these farmers have money in their pocket.
Now we have, under GRG, we have 8 groups in Ulual. They are doing this farming. They have planted beans. Right now they receive suckers from bananas, and then about pineapples. So they are also keeping pigs as a group. The project will continue when they leave. First of all, let us take for citrus farming. Whatever you have now grown, as a group, will continue generating money. That's why it's sustaining the projects. We go to bananas. We now planted the bananas as a group. Still generating money, still making people to be united again. Unlike this one, the other NGOs were giving free things. But this one, you make it yourself so that you get the benefit. Because it is like this, when you want to eat fish, you better beg for the hook, not in the fish, not even the money. It is the hook, you know where the fish are. You go with your hook there. You get whatever you want.
Where the uniqueness of our approach comes in, one, it is in that leaving the community to decide for themselves. Because at the end of the day, GRG is running projects, and projects have timeline. It's going to reach a point when GRG is off, and then where will the group be? So it is unique in the sense that whether GRG is not there, the groups are set to go. Contrary to other NGOs who come with it, we want to build new huts. We want to do ABCD. And that is why the ownership is great in GRG when you compare to other agencies. Our first targets are the returnees. And then we ensure that in all of these groups, they are either on equal numbers or the returnees are slightly more than the other normal persons within the community. So the uniqueness here is in the sense that other NGOs, if they are dealing with the formerly abducted children or former ex-LRA soldiers, they tend to isolate them separate and say, we are offering them tailoring or carpentry and joinery for the formerly abducted children. You know, either the girl child or the boys or mix. But the major issue that they emphasize is they must be formerly abducted or ex-LRA combatants. But in our case, we want to kill that name calling. By calling them formerly abducted, creates a lot of divisions. So we bring them together with those who did not go to the bush. We put them together and they work together on whatever project. If it is bricklaying, they all come together and lay bricks. If it is farming, cultivation of crops, rearing of pigs, rearing of goats, they all come together and participate equally without segregations of whether you are in the bush or you are not in the bush. So that is where our reconciliation bit comes in. As these people come and sit together, they participate in the village saving scheme. You know, they are borrowing money, they are paying back what they have borrowed. In that process, they are breaking the differences. As they go to farm your garden, oh, you were in the bush, I was not. Well, today we are going to farm your garden. You were a perpetrator, I was a victim, but today I'm digging your own garden. You are digging mine. We are breaking our differences. That is where GRG stands aloof. Our encouragement to the women and the rest of the members is that to allow women take leadership position. And indeed, women have come up. They are taking leadership positions in the group. Others have also, just as I said earlier, have started to contest. We had a woman in Evelyn, in Coach Goma, was contesting for the Councillor 5. Others have gone into Councillor 3. To try to contest for leadership within their respective communities. And then we have this project called the Village Saving Scheme, which locally we call Bolichop. Majority of the members on those groups are women. They participate very actively. They have taken into the culture of saving, you know, what GRG wanted to encourage is to ensure that people go into saving, because our culture here is that people don't go into saving. But the Bolicho project, the microfinance, has encouraged most women to go to save. They save for 8 months, 1 year, and then they go and open. And most of the people who are getting a lot of money from the saving are women rather than the men. So that is the level of the economic empowerment that we are taking through women on. PRDP is meant to solve the problems of the war-affected community. But if you look at PRDP in the Uganda's perspective now, PRDP is covering districts that never experienced war. Eastern Uganda, even part of the south, almost reaching the south. You know, some of these people did not experience the war that the northern Uganda experienced. And if somebody has been in the camps for 20 years and you want him to come up to try to match the level of those who were not in the war, and then you bring a program which is meant to benefit these people, but you make all of them to go at same level, then what are you doing? You're doing nothing. Because these other people who were in the camp for the last 20 years will continue to be behind by 20 years, while the other ones will continue to go ahead by 20 years. So that causes, you know, development differences, which is one of the biggest problems, which I would say is the cause of this war. You know, disparities in economic development, in political appointments, in infrastructural development, all these come up. So for the PRDP to really have economic benefits to everybody in northern Uganda, to make northern Uganda come up at the level of the rest of the country, that fund was supposed to be concentrated in northern Uganda.
Actually, I've never been begging for food. Everyone is just, because you have land, you have your hands, you have your head, why beg? Only you could be assisted, so that you start off. It's like what a child learn to walk. You can only support for 1 week, then the child will continue walking. You need not drag the child for so long.